Students, parents, and community members are staging a walkout at York Memorial Collegiate, citing unsafe conditions and violence at the school. CP24's Mark Liverman joins us live with those details, and you're on the move now, Mark.
Yeah, we are on the move. We're heading towards TDSB office with these students. You could see how far up this goes in this direction here. Students make their way up Keel right now. They're going to head this way. They're going to make their way over to the TDSB office along Trethui. So we're going to try and follow them a little bit, try to catch up with some of them as we make our way down here. Of course, students here, both students as well as some staff. We know parents were here as well. We had a chance earlier to speak to some of them. A lot of them, of course, holding signs. Guys, tell me a little bit about why you guys are here today. Can we chat with you guys? Can we chat with you guys about why you're here?
Free Kanye West 2024.
All right, sure. Well, all right. We heard.
Sir, don't listen to them.
Why are you here? Tell me why you're here.
I'm here to get my justice, sir.
Okay. What have you dealt with in school? Tell me a little bit about what you've been dealing with while you've been in school.
Violence. Too much violence, sir.
Have you been dealing with violence from other students, from administrators, from teachers, from who?
Everybody, like teachers, students, everyone.
Have you noticed, has it changed since the amalgamation of both schools, or was it always there?
It was always there. It hasn't changed a minute yet.
Okay. In terms of people saying there's been some racial violence going on at the school. I know I was speaking to some people right before we went live here who were talking about the fact that that is something they've been dealing with as students here as well. Is that something you've noticed?
Me personally, no, I've not noticed that, but I've noticed a lot of things like violence, kids fighting in the washrooms, and etc. Yeah.
Other people saying that the actual in terms of what they've been able to do at school, not even being able to go to the bathroom, feeling unsafe going to the bathroom, feeling like things have been not taken care of as they're going on their day-to-day, as they're going into the school. Is that something you've noticed as well?
That is true, sir. I wanted to use the washroom once, I couldn't because too much, people were smoking in there. I couldn't use the washroom proper. I couldn't do my business in the washroom.
I spoke to one student who was saying that this is something that could have been taken care of a long time ago. I also spoke to another student who was saying, you know what, there are problems coming from the teachers and administrative staff, but there's also problems coming from some of the other students. Are there some students that are causing problems that you've seen as well?
Me, yes, but I'm not gonna name names. Okay, but yes, okay. I have.
So you think there's a little bit of both sides in this entire story?
Yep.
In this entire story.
It is.
I appreciate that. And we're going to. We have a clip from a couple of minutes ago, just before we went live here. I'm gonna throw to that, and we're gonna continue walking our way up here, guys. Take a listen to this.
I go to the hallway and I see about 50 hall monitors on payroll, but when I go to the bathroom, there's no supplies, there's no toilet paper.
I think it's with the administration and the fact that they want to overstep and use their force. It's always force, it's always police, it's always guns. When in reality, our school is not what they make it seem to be. Our school is just like every other school.
We're hearing from students that they're not feeling safe in school, and it's not a matter of feeling unsafe because of other students. They're feeling unsafe because they're experiencing anti-Black racism within the hallways.
So back up here, speaking to Stephen here, towards the back of this march as we make our way up here to the TDSB office. Tell me a little bit about what you've been seeing and why you're here today.
Yeah, I'm here truly to show solidarity with the young people. Over the last couple of weeks, the situation at York Memorial has just been a disaster, and it's truly due to the neglect of the school board to take action and to ensure that the needs of students are centered. No, students did not want this merger, and even if we had to merge the schools together, it wasn't a matter of just dropping them in the school and leaving, and with no resources and support, and that's what the TDSB ultimately did.
Is this something that you're noticing or you've heard coming from both sides? I mean, I did speak to one student in grade, I think she was in grade 9 or 10, saying that there were problems on both sides. She said that she noticed there were fights, that she didn't feel safe necessarily among her fellow students either. So it wasn't just issues coming from teachers or staff, that there were problems, especially with the amalgamation of the schools.
Yeah, I think definitely there's two parts to it. Ultimately, there's been a lot of discrimination on the parts of teachers to students, and yes, there's been fights by young people fighting each other, and I think the fights of young people can be stemmed from the fact that, one, we saw how the pandemic affected young people's mental health. We saw how academic learning was difficult for youth. And so to dump students into a new school in a new environment with no resources, how do we expect them not to act out and misbehave? And that's exactly what the school board did, knowing the disaster that the pandemic was on the mental health and the mental well-being of our children.
Stephen, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, we're making our way up here with these students, with these some staff members here. Again, at noon, they'll hold a news conference in front of TDSB office asking for change. Careful there, asking for change as this news conference continues, as this march continues that started back in front of school. So we'll check in with you guys as soon as that gets underway in about half an hour.
Mark, I just wanted to ask you, can you tell us or walk us through some of the violent history that some of these students have been experiencing? We know that young student was talking about violence in the bathroom, that he was even unable to go into the washroom because there was smoking. We know in the hallways as well. But there was also a call for a person with a gun on November the 15th.
Yeah, we'll keep
Can you
walking
talk
as we're listening to you.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll keep walking as we're listening, and so I get a chance to answer you here. From what I've seen, we don't have specific examples from the students we've spoken with so far. We don't have specific examples of that. And the majority of the students we spoke to, even before we went live on air with you, were saying the fact that they're not comfortable with the racial violence that they faced from teachers. I mean, again, there was at least one grade 11 student who was saying she noticed that it was a both sides type situation, that there were more fights, that they didn't feel safe. But again, we didn't hear specific examples of those fights like you're discussing, and it's something I think that hopefully we'll hear more of as we make our way through. Stephen, I want to catch up with you one more time here as we make our way here, because I know we're at a red light here. We have all of these students here, I want to point out, waiting on this corner. Stephen, we were catching up with you earlier. Again, one more time, we were talking about the fact that, students are dealing with these, some of them dealing with fights. Have you heard examples of that kind of thing? Examples of specific instances where this happened within the school? Fights specifically?
Yeah, I've heard with the younger grades, there's been fights. Like students have been telling me there's practically almost 3 fights a day, 2 fights a day. Yeah. I think in respect to the fights, it goes back to my point of we're dumping students into a new environment that they're not familiar with, and we're expecting them to thrive. Especially the fact that there's no resources in the school, washrooms are not working, services are not there. So how do we expect young people not to act out? And I think just in a general sense, when we talk about the school violence we're seeing across the city, there's such a huge need to improve young people's socioeconomic conditions. Young people are facing poverty. There's a youth unemployment crisis, mental health crisis. All those compounding issues affect young people mentally and their behaviors.
Stephen, appreciate that again. Again, I just want to have Ken here show just how far this is going, because we're talking about quite a few students from the school that have made their way up here now. We're towards the corner of Eglinton and Keele here as they continue to walk. Likely is this where it's coming to an end, Stephen? This is where they're going to hold a news conference in about half an hour, Arda, as they speak out to the Toronto District School Board. I want to bring you over here a little bit, show you where they're standing just on this side. Be careful, we'll get back on the sidewalk here for a second. But you could see, again, all the students that have gathered here all around the school here. Some of them with different organizations. We know Parents of Black Children, that organization is here as well. I had a chance to speak to a representative with them. We'll get to them a little later on again as well. But now them chanting here standing in front, holding signs, getting ready again to hold a news conference just around noon. And we'll, of course, come back to that once that gets underway as well. Back to you.
Mark, thank you so much. This is as students and parents at York Memorial Collegiate are staging a walkout as there's allegations from both sides, from students, from parents, and from teachers of violence inside the school. Thank you.